ask you to give a very warm welcome to our first speaker, the President of the Stop the War Coalition, Tony Benn.
I've been, and probably most of you have, to many Stop the War meetings, and every time I come and I look at the audience, I always think it's necessary to begin with to say something about us, because we are a very big factor in the political situation in Britain, and that has been true throughout human history. When determined people take a firm stand in favour of a principled position, in the end they will win. And I think it's certainly true that compared to the political situation at the time of the invasion of Afghanistan or Iraq, most people in Britain and in America have now got great doubts about the war, and we're here to see how we can push those arguments further forward. I don't know whether Joe Glenton is here yet, but I would like to say a word about him, because for an individual to agree to be imprisoned rather than go and fight is a great tribute to him, and is a reminder that he made a formidable personal sacrifice, and therefore his voice needs to be listened to, and I think will be listened to increasingly as the months go by. We think of Mr. Gandhi, who was regularly in prison, with Mr. Mandela, who was in prison. We remember them because of the stand they took, the price they paid, and we remember them because they took a position which appealed to people up and down, well, around the world, really. Now, in addition to Joe, who is speaking tonight, as John has said, as Andrew has said, we are now looking at the situation created by the leaks of information which have appeared in the papers in America, here in Germany, the so-called WikiLeaks, the leaks of 1,000 important government documents that tell us the truth about the war. And although I think most people here who are opposed to the war will know all that before they heard it, but the difference is we are now hearing it from official sources and confirming everything we've said. And what it reveals, as Andrew said, is that this is a completely unwinnable war. It's a war we have now fought since 2001. It's a war which has cost, well, 325 British lives, over 1,000 American lives, and thousands of Afghan lives. The war lasted longer than the 2 world wars put together, and there's no prospect whatsoever of a military victory. And I think it's interesting that in the Chilcot inquiry, which has been taking place about the Iraq War, Dame Elizabeth Manningham Buller, who was the head of MI5, said the Iraq War radicalized people in Britain. We've been told for years that we have to go on fighting the war to protect our own interests, and what she pointed out as head of MI5 was that the war had actually built up enmity among the Muslim community in Britain to what was going on, and indeed radicalized a lot of people, including ourselves. Now, if you look at the information we had, it comes into various categories. First of all, we understand the weapons that we have been using in Afghanistan. We learn officially that Britain and America have a kill or capture policy. When identified enemies are named, the troops have been told to kill them or capture them without any sort of a trial, and that, of course, must mean for those who lose people in that way the same sense of anger that we feel when our troops come home from Lynham and brought their coffins and brought through the streets of Britain. And undoubtedly, in Afghanistan, most people must see this as a war for national survival, and it reminds me of what happened when I was 16. I was in Dad's army, and at the age of 16 I was taught to use a bayonet and a rifle and a revolver and a machine gun and fire a missile and throw a grenade. And if I'd seen a German officer in a restaurant, if the Germans had come here, I would have thrown a missile and would either be a terrorist or a freedom fighter. And I think that defending your own country against invasion is an absolutely basic reaction. As Andrew pointed out, it is linked to other issues because there are people in Pakistan who appear to be supporting the Taliban. We're told, or you can't believe anything you're told, but you're told that Iran is supplying equipment for the Taliban. We know that these pilotless planes are flying in from Nevada and dropping bombs and killing Afghans. We know so much of what is going on, and I think the more we hear about the truth, the more our opposition will be strengthened. And it is a fact that when the Afghan war began, a lot of people in Britain felt that we were defending our national interests. I don't think that is true anymore. I think that the shift of opinion in Britain and in America explains why it is that both Cameron and Obama are talking about withdrawal. Different dates they put, but they're talking about withdrawal, and we are pushing at an open door. And the more we campaign, the more we meet, the more propaganda we put out, the more meetings we hold, the stronger our position will be. And so the links that we've heard today will strengthen our case, and I think that we could be pretty sure that the media will have to give coverage to it. But it's also part of a much more complicated situation in the Middle East, the situation in Palestine. All these problems come together, the attempt by the Israelis to stimulate a war with Iran, that's another great danger. And I think what we're actually witnessing in the Middle East now is an anti-colonial struggle on a huge scale to get rid of Western domination, which has been the feature of Middle Eastern politics. I mean, we in Britain occupied Iraq, we controlled Palestine, and wherever you look, you'll find the Americans controlled Iran, put the Shah on the throne, and all that, I think, has got to go. Just as in Latin America, we've seen the same processes with Cuba and Chavez and Venezuela, ending American domination in Latin America. So I think, looking at the Middle East, they want to be free of European and external occupation of their countries. And that is an issue which is not going to be brushed aside by propaganda or all the arguments that we're hearing from government. So our job now is to get this message across to a wider and wider audience. And in doing so, we know that we're talking to people ready to listen. All right, a few years ago, if you'd taken this view, we were being described as disloyal to the country and all that. All that's over now. People understand that this is a war that cannot be won. Thousands of people are dying. Bereavements, not only of British families, but of Afghans in much larger numbers. So I think that coming here tonight, for those of you that have been involved, it's a confirmation of what we've been working for. For people coming to it afresh, it's an indication of what we have to do. And I think if we do it with determination, we shall succeed. So I'd like to thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Stop the War Coalition who organised it, another tribute to Joe Glenton, and to thank all the people who've made such a difference by the principled way in which we've campaigned for peace. And that's what we have to do now, and it's going to be a very busy night for everybody who is committed. So thank you for listening.